He mistimes it. He grabs the ledge, and with that, MK Leo defeats
The absolute best-selling fighting game of all time is Smash Bros. Ultimate. Sure, it's being sold ridiculously well, which you could say to the popularity of the Nintendo Switch itself, but I honestly believe if that were true, it would be rivaling ARMS, another Nintendo fighter. And it not only surpasses it by twice or even thrice, but over 6 times the amount of sales. So, why is it so? Well, to answer that, we're going to have to take a look at fighting games in general, and honestly, we're going to have to look really far back. Wait, that's too far. Let's take a look at the first competitive, popular fighting game. Street Fighter II, the World Warrior. You see, in the past, the technology was extremely primitive. Fighting games consisted of moving a joystick and mashing a button and hoping your move lands and you deal enough damage to defeat your opponent. Honestly, for its time, it was pretty groundbreaking, but in hindsight, how we moved from that seems like such a light year jump. In any case, Street Fighter II was the first game that really implemented the use of techniques other than mash the button and see if you win. It introduced short combos, blocking techniques, and inputs which would allow for a different move to come out. In the most famous case, a quarter circle forward punch would activate the world famous Hadouken! That move would not only set the standard for what Street Fighter would become, but for every single fighting game franchise that came thereon after. The following Turbo versions, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, even the second best fighting game of all time, Balls 3D, implemented it. As new fighters started popping up, these also implemented new maneuvers and abilities to help a person in combat, including things like teching, tech chasing, parrying, special moves, and stupid crazy inputs for even more insane types of combos. All these fighting games had the same premise. They all had very similar inputs, life bars, special inputs, 2 rounds, and a very straightforward way of playing. And it worked. Everybody and their grandmother knew that this was the way fighting games are supposed to be and how they're meant to be played. So much so that even competitive scenes were developed for how effective this format was. However, in the late 90s, the very popular video game company Nintendo would turn this format on its head and completely revolutionize how everyone could perceive a fighting game to be.
Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be the only one for me is you.
Super Smash Bros. 64 came into American hands through this absolutely stunning commercial in the year 1999. We had all our favorite Nintendo franchises coming to fight each other. That's absolutely tits. I mean, before this, the most they would collaborate on is like Mario Kart or the recent Mario Party. But even then, the Mario world never included the likes of Link or Samus or the giant global phenomenon that was Pikachu. This was a huge freaking deal, bro. This was something never done. This was hyped to a level that was never seen before. Multiple characters from multiple franchises coming together for any type of game, let alone a fighting one. And to be fair, the worst we ever got in terms of violence from Nintendo was just Mario stomping on a Goomba's head. It looked squishy if anything. This was kind of unprecedented. So we as kids begged our parents to get it, and after our ancient rituals of begging for things, our parents did eventually give in, and it was absolutely insane. There's no way I'm playing as Mario and headbutting the hell out of Pikachu, said Kid Me. But this wasn't what we were used to. No, there wasn't a life bar. What was I supposed to keep track of? Percentages? Wait, I can die at 0% too if I just jump off stage? Items? What in the hell is going on around here? The fighting format had changed. So here it was, this fighting game that had a lot of the tools that other fighting games had, but different. It didn't have your standard life bar. It had stages with edges and platforms, and shields that break, and special moves that didn't require any joystick movements, and Pokeballs. And it was all so different and bizarre, and yet it was extremely fun. Hell, it was more fun than any other fighter I had ever played before that. And believe me, I had pretty much mastered the art of Marvel vs. Capcom, which came out the year prior. I was unbeatable at that game, and yet this one just called to me so much more. It had so much charm, so much substance, so much depth. It was a relatively easy game to pick up, but such a hard one to master. Smash Brothers did what no other fighter had even thought about trying. They absolutely changed the format, and they did it well. So well that even the other big leagues were taking a look like and trying to see if they could emulate it. And they all failed miserably. Not one has stood the test of time. Meanwhile, spoiler alert, Smash 64 is actually a bigger community than I had thought. It has mods that constantly release new material, things like a Bowser release. At the time of this video, recently just released Mad Piano from the Mario 64 series. How nutty is that, honestly? So I digress. Smash Bros. 64. What did it have that the others didn't? Well, let's just say that it's not that the other games lacked anything. I mean, they were fine on their own. So fine that those are pretty much still the standard that most fighting games base their formats on. However, Smash Bros. 64 created a different type of fighter. Things like percentages would keep track of knockback, and the higher the knockback, the further you could launch an opponent with the same moves. Previously, all fighting games had a set knockback for every single move. It was all pretty consistent, no matter if you had low life or high life. One light attack would set you at the same knockback. Yeah, stocks. It had stocks instead of rounds. Sort of like lives, but these lives were to be taken in one single match. And these stocks didn't have to be taken from knocking an opponent at a high percentage. Hell, you could do this with items, with Pokemon, jumping off stage and attacking, or edge guarding. And even at very low percents, you could rob somebody of their stock if you were just desperate enough or smart enough for the kill. And let me spare you the bore of all the little intricacies, but let's just say that shit was different in the best way possible. And for the longest time, we thought I had a new favorite fighting game that I could pick up and play forever. And then the GameCube came out. And then... and it blew Smash 64 out of the water. More characters, more stages, more techniques, more Pokemons, more items, an actual story mode, trophies. I mean, this game went above and beyond in the span of only 1 year's development time. That's insane. I mean, it had its flaws, Smash 64 did. Melee is no stranger to glitches, and to be honest, as much as every game improved on what the last did, they also fell flat on a lot of different mechanics and glitches. In fact, let me just run through some of the big ones. Smash 64, too much hit stun and unfair hitboxes. Melee, tech so complicated you have to devote your entire existence to mastering all these controls. Also things like grab chains and unfair mechanics. Brawl, tripping, and probably the worst implementation in the entire series to date. Smash 4, Bayonetta. Well, you know what, maybe tripping isn't that bad. And Ultimate. Nothing, it's perfect. That's why it sells the best. Okay, I kid. Online is terrible, buffering needs tweaking, and personally it is just so damn fast. A lot of the times I'm not even reacting, I'm just predicting my follow-ups. But it is the absolute best Smash in this series so far. Sure, the ceiling for mastering the game is a little lower than say Melee, and a lot of pros might chastise it for that, but the fact that you can pick it up and become decently good in a short amount of time kinda makes it so the game becomes a universal enjoyment rather than just those who really want to make the tech work for them. And honestly, the time where it has came out couldn't have been better. We are in the golden age of the internet where if you wanted to get real good at the game, you're a quick search away from Poppet One's tournament dissection studies or MKLeo's actual live streams or about almost any other character guide on YouTube you could find. Hell, my Terry is absolutely disgusting right now. It really was and is the best time for a Smash Bros game to come out, and one that looks so absolutely gorgeous compared to the series before. Wow. But I mean, personally, my experience ended with Smash 64. I never did get a GameCube for Christmas, or my birthday. In fact, I didn't have another Nintendo console until recently. My coworkers pitched in for a Nintendo Switch, and that's how I got back into it. Which means I haven't religiously played any Smash games since the N64. And yet what I felt when I first picked up Ultimate was the exact same feeling I felt as a child playing Smash 64 for the first time. It was nostalgia. It felt so similar. It felt marvelous. And from what I've seen around the internet, most people agree that this is the best feeling Smash Brothers game. And it plays well. I spent over 1,300 hours and I'm still not burned on it. I'm playing tournaments, I'm whipping ass on Elite, I'm working on trying to make a solo wombo combo, and honestly, I'm coming for you, Leo. Okay, maybe I'm blowing smoke, but I'm having fun. And as a wise man once said, if it's not fun, then why bother? So that's my take. I know you may disagree and have a completely different perspective, but I'd just like to imagine that for one moment, my heart and my soul was connected to each and every soul that went through that emotion with me. And because of that, I feel it became the best-selling Smash/fighting game of all time. Because it just feels so damn good. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully, I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.